buddy? You ready for this?
I'm ready. Answer it?
No, I don't want to answer it.
Nothing's a fire. Fire. We're doing it.
So after an exciting night last night of getting this thing running and driving, we are back in the shop fully rested and ready to get after it. We have some loose ends on the MR2 that we need to tidy up, so we're gonna jump right into those and see if we can get this thing running and driving for longer than a mile. I've been permitizing our fuel lines, and so it's been pretty fun. This is my first time putting together an AN line system. One thing I'm finding out is, as you guys probably already know, you need 1.5 million fittings for whatever you're gonna do. So that's what we're waiting on, is just a few more fittings, but let me get the flashlight real fast. You can see down here, we've got both of our hardline compression fittings on, so the feed and the return. And so our feed is gonna directly shoot into this inline fuel filter right here that we've got. I'll be mounting that to the firewall in the next couple of days. And then it just runs right up onto the fuel rail. For this here, I need an 8 orb to 6 AN fitting, straight line to get into the fuel rail. And then coming around to the other side of the fuel system, I've got this section built out as well. Same fitting I need here. So an 8 orb to 6 AN, and then that's gonna go straight to our regulator there. That's already mounted on the firewall, and then the return line's already done. It's just loosely mounted, so it's loose right now. But yeah, that'll go there, and then we'll route our vacuum line to our intake, and fuel system's clean and done.
Starting to look professional.
Yeah, it's fun. We just need to clean up some of this mess over here, and this thing will look pretty dang good. I'm pretty excited.
I think you're gonna earn the title of hose man in the shop.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Just loosely putting that shit together because I don't want it to get lost.
What was that? Running out of fuel? It was just running off the fuel in the bowl.
It's making fuel pressure.
But should. Did we recalibrate the Haltech with the new PSI on the regulator?
Fuel pressure? No.
Yeah.
No.
So I think that's
The first time it started with the new regulator. What was it running at?
It looked
60.
like 57, 58.
Well, then it should be about right because it was set at 58 before in the Haltech.
What'd you think, Jason?
It's pretty cool.
Thanks. It
Thanks.
actually worked better with the old regulator as far as idle setup and not running.
I don't even know that I've fully tightened down the fuel rail. I probably
Honestly, but
I really don't think I tightened.
it's not like a AN fitting or anything that's going to seal. It's not an NPT thread. We need to get some fluids and put some fluids in it.
Are you guys gonna check your spark plugs?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of race guys run them loose.
You want some play in it.
It allows
You don't want
variable
too much
compression.
Yeah.
So
Hey, brother. A lot of us are we're cranking them out quarter turn nowadays.
This is our new vacuum block. We are just preparing to run a few vacuum lines off of the engine Just to clean everything up, we're gonna just mount this vacuum block right on the firewall and just run a few vacuum lines off of that. Our fuel pressure regulator hasn't had vacuum on it currently as we've been test running it, so excited to see how it runs with actual vacuum to it.
Right at 60. I'm the biggest. I'm the baddest. I've always been wondering how it works.
Today on how it's made.
Yeah, so this is just a power steering delete. That's just going to add an idler pulley in there so we can actually have the belt touch every basically part of the ribs where it needs to grip. Hybrid Racing sold us this one, and it's designed specifically for the Japanese JDM engine. I don't think it's going to work perfectly with the American engine, whatever that one's called, domestic engine, I don't know. G-line, we got threads. After further analysis, we think that the machined brackets already have the thickness of this washer built in, so I would be double stacking them. So we're going to take them out for the first test run. If it squeals, we'll know to put them right back in. If they don't squeal, then we know we got a problem. Because everything's supposed to squeal when I touch it.
Thank you.
Now we gotta put the pulley on there. Brackets installed.
We got our nice Hybrid Racing pulley here with a cool little cover on it.
Yep, fresh bearings. We just pressed them in as you saw earlier. I'm kidding, these came with a bearing in it. I just gotta drop jokes on you guys. Threads right in as it should. Excellent, excellent quality. She spins very freely. That's a good start. Let's get the belt on there.
Matt, what's the length of that belt?
That is a very good question. So we looked up the instructions on how to install this idler pulley we just bought, and it has 4 different belts that it suggests whether you're running AC, non-AC. The purpose of this is deleting the power steering, and then a couple of different crank pulleys come on this motor. We have a 6.5. We had to measure it. And with that guidance, it showed a 51.5-inch belt being suggested. Our local auto parts store had a very close belt. We're gonna see if it worked. I didn't get to read the size before I dropped it, but I think it was 51 and 5/16, so very close to the half mark. And we're gonna stretch it on there, and then put some coolant in there and see if we can keep it cool. We gave it our best shot with the 51.5. We're just gonna have to go to a little bit size up or down. Just kidding, just up. So we're gonna call the auto parts store and see if we can't get an inch bigger.
All right, we're back again with a new belt. We're gonna see if this one works.
This one was a little oversized, but you know, it's a guessing game.
All right, so we just tried belt number 3. And it does fit, but it is a 6 rib. We need 7, 51.5-inch belt. Now we just have to order it online. We found that this is the correct length. What do you think?
I think it's gonna turn our accessories just fine.
Alrighty, so now that we have the coolant leaks fixed, we believe, we will re-top off the coolant and see if she's holding.
Get that laptop up. Get in there, Alex.
Let's just look it up.
Let's settle on a number.
All right, Matt, so what are we testing right now?
Well, I think we're gonna test how our actual setup works on the fuel regulator, and then move on to actually setting it to where we want it so that the laptop knows where this is set so it can function properly. I'm gonna say 59.5.
Yeah, now she's running right on target.
Sweet.
Idle target set at 850. She just had to get up to temp for the first time.
Does it show our current coolant temp?
Coolant temp's riding at 190, so
okay.
I bet we have some air in the system, so I'm feeling like this is probably going to creep here in a little bit.
For a second.
Yep. The MR2 coolant systems are super hard to get all the air out of the system. And then on top of that, we've done the motor swap, which doesn't use the factory fill situation anymore, which they actually have like a high up fill neck. So long story short, we probably have a lot of air in the system, so I'm feeling like we're probably going to have to bleed it several times to get that coolant temp to stay steady, but I was pretty impressed with it kind of getting up to 190 and staying. So.
All right, Matt, tell us what you're fixing here and why.
This was kind of angled down, so anytime I put fluid in there, it just goes down into the radiator lines. I was able to angle it up a little bit to get fluid actually in the engine. So I'm hoping now if I get this at a little bit of steeper angle here, burp it, release some of the air out of the engine, and start on getting all the air out of this. But it's gonna be a battle no matter what when it comes to this system.
We were running the fuel comp correction earlier, which was really helping with the throttle response, but it wasn't wanting to start. So I might try this generic correction real fast and see if it's gonna kill the engine probably, but we'll see if it starts back up on it. All right, nice, that's a good sign so far.
So I'd say that the active cooling system is actually working if we're actually able to get the number to drop.
We've been in the 150s for a while now.
No thermostat, we never gonna hit 200.
All right, so now we need to put the alternator on this thing because we were driving it on just battery last night. We need to fill the transmission all the way up. We're gonna do a little oil change on here and just check over all of the things that we were temporizing over the past couple videos, get them to their permanized state, and hopefully this thing is going to be good to go on the road with no issues.
Let's get after it. All right, so we had been running the MR2 without a thermostat in it because we weren't sure if it was opening. What was actually happening is we were just running the car and the fans weren't coming on. So it was getting a little warmer than it should as it sits here and idles in the shop. So we got to put the MR2 back on the lift, throw it back up there to get to the thermostat housing and throw the thermostat back in. So hopefully this thing will run at about 200 degrees. So this car is so low, it's a little bit of a pain. So we're gonna shimmy this thing back on the lift.
Thermostat is back in our housing here, and for anyone wondering, the spring goes on the engine side, so make sure that you put it in correctly when you do this. You're putting that in wrong. Under the hood?
Yes.
Under the front. Alright, so we noticed on our test drive last night that our brakes were a little bit stiff. We don't think that we have a brake booster hooked up to it at all. So we're going to see if that's what this is. Alex is up there disconnecting the line from the brake booster up here. We're going to blow some air through it and see if that's what is going all the way to the back. Do it again. That's it. That be it.
Where'd you get air?
He's blowing with his mouth.
Oh. How'd you get your mouth on that?
What tastes better, coolant or whatever was in that line?
Whatever was in that line. It really wasn't too bad, honestly. I might go back for seconds. While Jacob was in there beautifying the interior, me and Matt very quickly whipped up this pretty awesome intake, actually. It fits perfectly where it'll be forced a ton of clean air, cool air, or clean cool air, you know, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever it takes.
Goes right to the filter.
Heaps and heaps of power, baby.
That'll be good for the NA setup. It only goes that far.
Probably not enough distance to reach our hole in there.
Probably not.
We can stretch the wires.
safety first, then teamwork when you're in the fab shop, always. We're doing like West Coast chopper style drama where Matt shows up late and I'm gonna slam the door so hard it flies off.
You got sprinkles on the donuts?
Son of a biscuit weaving and eating bulldog. Check 1, check 2. All right, so I was just drilling out this steel pipe, which is not the best for an intake, but it works. So we could fit our intake air temperature sensor in there, and then putting some hose clamps on there. I'm gonna get this intake installed. It looks horrible, but it will function pretty good.
What else you doing in this thing today, Matt?
That's a good question. We need to validate that our temperature is constant at the 186 when the thermostat opens. And then we need to validate that our battery is charging. And then we need to put it on the chip and see what kind of horsepower we're making.
What kind of horsepower are you expecting?
I think we're in the ballpark of 12 or 1300. Well, first, I'm just gonna poke around on the fan side real quick, see if I can mentally figure out the relays for this car. It has 4 that drives the fan, and they're like in series or parallel, I'm not sure. I'll have to figure that out. And we'll probably end up wiring the fan to the Haltech. May not, but it's looking like we might. Well, that was simple. All I had to do was jump for the other pin, and we found high. So now we just basically want to figure out if we want to run high or low. I think we might be able to even run independently a low trigger and a high trigger, but kind of got a stepping point on where we're going to wire, if need be, the Haltech to the fuse box to trigger the relays so we can have fan control. That's only if we can't get this existing thermostat or existing temp sensor to work. The car has one in there. It reads temp based off the front radiator here and then drives the fans accordingly. We have a concern that essentially that there's a big temperature gap between the engine coolant and the radiator coolant, but we'll figure that out.
This week on Wacky Wiring, can Matt figure out how to wire in a single sensor? He doesn't know. He's trying to figure it out. How did he get here? Tune in to find out.
This thing's a little tight after I put the coolant sealed seals in there, so I gotta kind of wedge those pins in with a pin removal tool.
We stopped by Wiring Wizard's shop real fast. It looks a lot like our shop.
Identical.
But it's not the exact same thing at all.
I tried to get as many of the banners that they had so that it's really easy for shooting access so that it doesn't make it confusing for the folks watching.
All right, Matt, what do we have here? Little fuel pressure sensor.
That is indeed the fuel pressure sensor. It's going to monitor the pressure going into our engine and give that feedback to the Haltech and adjust on the fly.
We wanted to throw one of these in there so that we could build some safeties around fuel pressure and stuff like that. The factory K24 does not have an accurate fuel pressure sensor
At all. It's manual. You have to go back to the car and read it.
Ain't got no power, baby. Power, 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 power.
If you ever need to get a wire through somewhere that you can't fit your hands, you can always put it on a metal line, fish it through just like that.
Oh wow, it worked. You know what?
You need the sensor out, you idiot. You did it backwards.
Alright, forget about that. We'll do it again.
Now we have this routed just how we want it to be. Make a couple runs at it, buddy. You'll be alright. There you go.
It was the other way.
Oh man. Almost like this is very inconveniently placed.
Matt's installing our fuel pressure sensor over here.
Installed? What do you mean installing?
It is done. You just got to get those wires connected to something.
Not sure what, but we'll figure it out.
And unfortunately, we have the seat back in and we have the post in the way, so this one's not as fun as it used to be. But I'll figure it out.
What are you about to try to do?
I'm about to find power, ground, and the appropriate pin for the Haltech for the air temp sensor. Nope, not air temp sensor, fuel pressure sensor. I think we're gonna leave the door shut since we got awesome access from the T-tops. So previously, saw me run the wires in the car. Now let's just find them home. Where to even start? Did you guys hear that on the audio? So what I'm looking for is essentially a little bit thicker wire that I married 2 thinner wires to. I remember doing that for power. Could be this orange one. And that is 1, so A9. What is A9? I don't have my pizza to hold down the paper. There's flying everywhere. All right, good news. A9 is indeed power supply. That is fantastic. Okay, so I can... Now, the problem with this is since it's not all laying out flat on a table, getting the length of the wires is gonna be a little bit challenging. So I'm just gonna have to get lucky.
No way we can measure that, right?
They ain't got bendy tape measures, they're all flat. Measuring. Do we have a saved data file? Okay, so. And it's gone. Who wired this thing?
Oh! No! That hurt so bad. Right to the back of the dome ski. Watch that when you're getting in, boys. Gee.
Well, nothing's on fire, and we now have a wire connected to another wire, so it looks good.
Nothing's on fire, and we now have a wire.
Nothing's on fire. Fire. It's harder to wire in the car. Now, am I gonna get lucky enough for that to stay still? Because I'm slide a little heat shrink. That way we don't burn the car down. Heat her up, and just like that, she's done. Honey, I shrunk the heat shrink. Now 3 more. So I just got done wiring in the Haltech to the fuel pressure sensor. We're gonna temporarily see if it'll actually mount to the fuel rail and not leak, with the intentions of maybe getting some permanent solution on the regulator itself. It does stick about 2 inches out here, so it's kind of an eyesore. I'm taking off the old plug, screwing in the sensor, plug it in, and then it's time to see if we actually get it to work. First prime, no leak. Let's hit it again. All right, for once, we have a success. As you can see here, that is one ugly sensor, less than appealing, especially with this wire coming off. So I really hope that we can get to use the gauge port sensor thing on the actual fuel pressure regulator itself. But that's another day. So now it's time to see if I can actually get this thing to read on the Haltech, use it for what it is, and have perfect fuel pressure input into the computer at all times.
Back on the claim, Matt has struggled with the wiring that has doomed and plagued their entire project. And the boys took an emergency trip out to the hardware store to get some screws and supplies to mount their shifter. Did they make it in time? Tune in to find out.
Menards' house brand has a lifetime warranty now.
Well, shoot, might as well just go ahead and start using them.
Menards only. Throw out your Craftsman.
Oh, them's big fighting words. Okay, click sensors. See if we can find like a fuel pressure sensor. Wiring, assign, is there a B12? Hit the flashy button. Then is there a insert column?
Max is 4.5.
This is our long-term fuel table. What this is doing is it's either adding or removing fuel based off of our target air to fuel ratio, which we have set at 14.7 at the moment. So these are what it's doing to correct, and right now we've gone from a 9 to a 13. And I do think there is a max that's able to actually pull out of here, so we're probably hitting that max. We'll have to save this correction over to our main fuel table and start again.
Looks like we're maxed at 20. A correction of minus 20 here.
It's working. You turn it off?
Yeah.
Let's fire her back up. Who needs a genius to tune when you just have the laptop do it? That's the secret. You just let the computer do it. Tuning's easy. Well, that is a small success and lines of bigger successes. So now we're gonna get this shifter mounted, and of course, VTEX to follow. Unfortunately, we have not a great solution for the shifter, so we're hillbillying it. As you can see, the rest of our install has been nothing but professional. But for now, send it home. It's home. Don't need a pilot hole. That thing just ate right through it.
Okay, this thing is almost permanently in here.
To be temporarily taken out later. It'll at least get us to be able to move around, test the systems,
And not have this thing flopping all over the
Yeah,
place.
that was rough.
Trying to guess what gear you're in.
I was trying to two-hand it, one wheel off, or one hand off the wheel, one hand holding the shifter base, one hand shifting. Just like that. Oh man.
She's solid on there.
Let's put the cables on.
Get these cables back in here.
Do we have the hardware to lock these in? Looks like your fingers will do the job.
All right, shifter is bolted down. Can go through the gears without this thing wobbling all over the place. And it's done.
Jacob, do you have a towel?
Well, I was wearing that.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, Jacob, do you have a towel? Yeah, I need one towel.
Yeah, it's just at the very top of the fill line consistently. But see, yeah, that just seems like a lot of oil on the dipstick. But
Looks pretty normal to me. Well, how many quarts you put in there? 8?
yeah,
Yeah, that's normal.
you take the capacity and you double it, right?
For a healthy engine, yeah. Ready, set, action. We're back at it again, and guess what? We finally had an opportunity to test drive the car, and it did so wonderfully. So now we've got a 14-point inspection, so we can go through all our systems we put in the car, do a little troubleshooting if need be, and then we can get to the fun part, tuning this thing up. Time to move and groove. He's showing the crew.
Next test drive checklist.
And then it's ready for tuning.
What you doing in there?
Taking out the old, what we're gonna call a pressure switch for our oil, and replace it with an actual oil sensor that we wired in yesterday. Would allow us to run the adapter, run the pressure sensor, and have an out for the oil pressure on the on the turbo.
Yeah, let's just run that.
I don't know if this needs tape on it or not. I guess we'll find out here shortly.
We're unboxing our new aluminum fittings here. Pretty thrilled with some of the Evil Energy stuff we used, but that's not ideal.
Is that the machining debris Toyota was talking about causing all the engine failures?
Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. As you can see, we got a ton done on the MR2. Stay tuned. We got a bunch more of exciting stuff on the way.